Upon payment of an earnest money, is there a perfected contract of sale prior to the acceptance of offer by the seller? Good day, listeners. We are Group 6 of 2FM2, and we are to present a case digest regarding the case of First Optima Realty Corporation versus Securitron Security Services Incorporated.
The parties involved in this case are petitioner First Optima Realty Corporation, which is a domestic corporation engaged in a real estate business. It is a registered owner of a parcel of land with improvements located in Pasay City, Metro Manila, in which this is the subject property. Respondent Securitron Security Services Incorporated, a domestic corporation with offices located beside the subject property, claimed that the said parcel of land is subject of the alleged perfected contract of sale through the respondent's payment of an earnest money. The Regional Trial Court and Court of Appeals found the existence of the perfected contract of sale. Hence, the petitioner corporation filed a petition for review on certiorari. The fact shows that the respondent, through its general manager, Mr. Antonio Eleazar, offered to purchase the subject property of the petitioner through a letter addressed to its vice president, Carolina Young. Eleazar then offered to purchase the property in cash. However, Young declined to accept this payment and informed Eleazar that prior to the approval, the corporation's board of directors was required for such transaction. Thereafter, the respondent sent a letter to the petitioner accompanied by a check in the amount of 100,000 pesos made payable to the petitioner, which served as an earnest money for the property. However, despite the delicate nature of the matter and the large amount involved, respondent did not deliver the check and the letter directly to Young or her office. Instead, they were coursed through an ordinary receiving clerk or receptionist of the petitioner, who then issued a provisional receipt. Thus, this check was eventually deposited with and credited to the petitioner's bank account.
The respondent asserted that there is a perfected contract of sale since 1. The sale was both negotiated by both parties, and 2nd, the respondent has also paid the earnest money for which the petitioner accepted. It also contended that the failure to return its payment amounts to estoppel and ratification of sale. Thus, the respondent demands the petitioner to proceed with the sale of the property. After due proceedings were taken, on February 16, 2009, the trial court held that the petitioner's acceptance of 100,000 peso earnest money indicated the existence of a perfected contract of sale between the parties. And so the court ordered that the defendant, First Optima Realty Corporation, is directed to comply with its obligation by accepting the remaining balance of 1,536,000 peso and 99 centavos and executing the corresponding deed of sale in favor of the plaintiff, Securitron Security Services Incorporated, over the subject parcel of land. The petitioner, however, filed an appeal with the CA or Court of Appeals that 1. The respondent's 100,000 peso check payment cannot be considered as earnest money since the payment constitutes merely an offer which requires acceptance in order to give rise to a contract of sale. 2. No earnest money can be considered to have been paid to petitioner as the supposed payment was received by a mere receiving clerk who was not authorized to accept. 3. Carolina Young, although she is the executive vice president of the company, she cannot enter into a sale of its corporate property because 4. No corresponding board resolution to such effect was issued since its board of directors did not authorize the sale thereof to respondent. 5. Petitioner argued that it never agreed to sell the subject property, which shows that there was no meeting of the minds between the parties in the first place. On September 30, 2011, the Court of Appeals issued the sale decision, affirming the trial court's decision on February 16, 2009, pronouncing that written under Article 1318 of the Civil Code, no contract exists unless the following requisites concur. Consent. 1. Consent of the contracting parties. 2nd, object certain, which is the subject matter of the contract. And 3rd, the cause of the obligation established. After carefully examining the records of the case, it shows that there was indeed a negotiation between the parties regarding the sale of the subject property, and that the disagreement between the parties is on whether they have arrived on an agreement regarding the said sale.
Now the question is, upon Securitron's payment of earnest money, is there a perfected contract of sale prior to the acceptance by the seller? The answer is no. The Supreme Court ruled that when there is merely an offer by one party without the acceptance of the other, there is no contract. As contemplated under the Article 1482 of the Civil Code, there should be presence of a perfected sale contract before the payment given will be considered as the earnest money. Where the parties merely exchanged offers and counter-offers, no contract is perfected since they did not yet give their consent to such offers. Earnest money applies to a perfected sale. In a potential sale transaction, the prior payment of earnest money even before the property owner can agree to sell his property is irregular and cannot be used to bind the owner to the obligations of a seller under an otherwise perfected sale contract. To cite a well-worn cliché, the carriage cannot be placed before the horse. According to Article 1319, consent is manifested by the agreement of the offer, which is certain, and the acceptance upon the thing, which must be clear and absolute. The property owner, prospective seller, may not legally obliged to enter into a sale with the prospective buyer through the latter's employment of questionable practices which prevent the owner from freely giving his consent to the transaction. This constitutes a palpable transgression of the prospective seller's rights of ownership over his property, an anomaly which the court will certainly not condone.
In this case, respondent's subsequent sending of the letter and check to petitioner without awaiting the approval of petitioner's board of directors and Young's decision, or without making a new offer, constitutes a mere reiteration of its original offer, which was already previously rejected. Thus, petitioner was under no obligation to reply to the letter. Furthermore, said letter cannot be considered as evidence of a perfected sale which does not exist in the first place, so no binding obligation on the part of the petitioner to sell its property arose as a consequence. The letter made no new offer replacing the first, which was rejected. To conclude, the final ruling of the Supreme Court are as follows. First, the petition of First Optima Realty Corporation is hereby granted by the Supreme Court. Second, the September 30, 2011 decision and December 9, 2011 resolution of the Court of Appeals in CA/GRCV number 93715, as well as the February 16, 2009 decision of the Regional Trial Court of Pasay City, Branch 115, in civil case number 06-0492 CFM, are reversed and set aside. And lastly, civil case number 06-0492 CFM is ordered dismissed, and petitioner for First Optima Realty Corporation is ordered to refund the amount of $100,000 to responded Securitron Security Services Incorporated without interest, unless petitioner has done so during the course of the proceedings. That is all. Thank you.